Hello there friends, we have made it. It's 2020. Every game from the last decade is gone forever. We can never play them again. Every game from the last year, gone forever. Backlog eliminated, even though I'm currently playing through Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. But disregard that. Other than that, backlog eliminated. Let's start again with a new year, with lots of new games. And I figured I'd count down the games I'm looking forward to. So here are the 10 games I'm anticipating most in 2020. All of which I hope actually release in 2020, but all of which have 2020 release dates. So if they disappoint me, I'll be very mad. Even though on this list, I think two games have already been delayed. Two of these games are meant to be out. Well, actually one of them was meant to be out earlier in 2020, one of them was meant to be out last year, but still, don't delay these games, I want to play them. Number 10, just recently revealed at the Game Awards, Bravely Default 2, which is stupidly named as you'd expect from one of Square's RPG franchises. Well, it's not that stupidly named, because you had Bravely Default, and then you had Bravely Second End Layer, which was a direct sequel to Bravely Default, and now you have Bravely Default 2, which is a spin-off, not really a spin-off, it's a continuation of the series with different characters, I believe. So, actually, no, that makes less sense. Realistically, it would have made more sense if Bravely Default 2 was the sequel to Bravely Default and Bravely Second was the kind of like second iteration of that franchise, but regardless, that's all neither here nor there. I really liked the first Bravely Default. I didn't finish Bravely Second, but I really liked Bravely Default, even if I'd agree with some of like the criticisms of it that the end game went on a tad too long. But other than that, I thought it was a really cool RPG. I thought the Brave and Default mechanics were really, really cool, and I thought it was like a really accessible modern RPG where you could just turn off battling if you wanted. Like if you wanted to just run from A to B, you could just turn it off, and that's like, it blows my mind because I'm playing Breath of Fire on the Super Nintendo at the moment, and like the random battles grate on you when you're just trying to find where you're going and you're just running on the map and you're getting into battles and you fight the battles, and it's like it's 10-15 seconds each battle, but it's still just time. And in Bravely Default, you can just turn them off. If you're like, I just want to get from A to B, I don't want to be interrupted, I don't want to be interfered with, you can just turn them off. So yeah, Bravely Default 2. I'm hoping it's as fun and unique and original and accessible as the first one was. Number 9, Marvel's Avengers. Listen, I have as many qualms about the Avengers game as most other people. I think the character models look kind of bad, and not different bad, just bad. They look frumpy and weird, and Captain America looks like he's just a dad who's mowing his lawn and decided to put on a Captain America suit. It's not good. And it's like, that's not what Captain America looks like. Stop it. Like, he doesn't have to look like Chris Evans, but he doesn't feel like Captain America either. He's just like some weird generic stockhead. And them talking about it being like a Destiny-like, where it's like grinding for loot, and that's not really what I want out of an Avengers game. It's not like, I don't really see that as like a model for an Avengers game, because like I don't want the grind for loot as Iron Man. I guess I can get different Iron Man costumes, but I don't know, I just want a cool Avengers story. I think that's what most people want from an Avengers game, but we'll see. But I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt because it's an Avengers game from a very good team at Crystal Dynamics, and I'm sure they'll make a good game. I hope they'll make a good game. And like they promised long tail support, that they'll be adding new Avengers, which hopefully will come with new stories, because the big problem with Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 is they're adding new characters and then adding very little to do with those new characters other than like the same challenge rooms you played a million times. So hopefully that long tail expansion content will be interesting and worth going back to, and hopefully the core game when it launches May 15th, 2020 will be really good. I hope. If it's not, I'll be quite sad, because like most superhero games are bad, most tie-in games are bad anyway, but then you had Spider-Man, which was great, and you had the Batman games, which are great, and you had that Wolverine game on PS3 that was also great, and Marvel Ultimate Alliance was pretty good. But then you got like all the ones that have been tied to the MCU haven't been particularly good. You had the Captain America and Iron Man and Thor, and I haven't played the Thor or Hulk games. The Iron Man games weren't great, and the Captain America game was pretty good, but like special. Back in the early days of the MCU, the ones that were published by Sega. So hopefully Marvel's Avengers will buck the trend of MCU games. But this isn't even based on the MCU, so what am I talking about? I guess games released in the MCU era, but still. I don't want a Destiny-like, but I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. Number 8, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, which is a game that I have not played. I haven't played the original, and I played Resident Evil 2 over Christmas, and I was like, oh, this is really good. And instead of going like Resident Evil 7, they announced Resident Evil 3. So I'm just like, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave and play Resident Evil 3, and I assume they'll just keep on remaking these games. I should play 4, because 4 is on Switch. There's no reason I shouldn't play 4, because I know people think 4 is like the greatest, not only the greatest game of the series, but like the greatest game of all time. People love 4. And yeah, when they announced Resident Evil 3, I was like, oh, I'll just wait for that, because it's coming on April 3rd, so it's not that far away. It was originally revealed as Resident Evil Resistance, which was a multiplayer mode, so it's like a 4-on-1 kind of hunting game running away from, I think it's a Nemesis, though I'm not sure. But yeah, I just want another Resident Evil experience after playing Resident Evil 2, and like there's one coming in April. Capcom are so good at churning out games. Capcom's like last few years revival with a great Mega Man game, great Resident Evil games. Fair enough, they swung and they missed with Marvel vs. Capcom, but also Monster Hunter World, which is huge, the best-selling Monster Hunter game, I believe. So yeah, Capcom are back. I'm happy Capcom are back. And Resident Evil 3 in April 3rd. Number 7, Cyberpunk 2077. I'm not a big open world game guy. I'm not a big like shooty shoot game guy. Like this is a game that will have, for me personally, a bit of an uphill struggle, but everything they've shown about this game just looks like jaw-droppingly impressive. It looks like this is the power of the PS4 and Xbox One that I don't think this generation is quite tapped into. And well, I guess The Witcher 3 was this generation, so it probably has. Other people in this generation, other than CD Projekt Red, haven't quite tapped into. This is the year, you see, where this is the final year of those consoles. This is the year where everyone is like, we've worked out how to make games for these systems, and hopefully the games that we make this year, and there are a lot of big games coming this year before the launch of next gen, hopefully all of those games will have worked out how to make games for these systems and be like big, huge heavy hitters and send these. Like, I don't even have The Last of Us Part 2 on this list because I still haven't played the first one, so I can't in good faith be excited for the second one, even though that's objectively going to be one of the biggest games of the year. But still, Cyberpunk looks extraordinarily impressive on a technical level. As I said, I'm not sure will it be a game for me. I'm a very big square, so watching those trailers, it's like, there's too much cursing. Because I'm a gigantic nerd and a dope, but we'll see. It looks like this game just looks staggeringly impressive. It's out on April 16th. April's going to be loaded. God damn it, there's so many games this year. And that's, as I said, that's even before next gen. Good lord. Cyberpunk, number 7. Number 6, a game I've had my eye on for a while, a game that was particularly impressive last year when it was shown off in the Nintendo Nindies Direct, I think in like August, September. Eastward, which is just a spectacular looking pixel art 2D game where you're exploring dungeons and solving problems, and it's like a puzzle adventure combat game. Like in terms of mechanics, it doesn't look like anything particularly special, but good lord, does the art in this game look absolutely spectacular. And like, you reach a stage where you're like, I think I'm over pixel art. I'm sick of seeing all these pixel art games. And then you see a game like this, which is just absolutely stunning. And you're like, no, I'm over boring looking pixel art. And then you see just phenomenal looking stuff like this. And it's just like, yes, this is a game I want. I really hope this game releases this year. This is the game I'm most, because like indie games are always, you know, they're on a knife edge because there are small teams, and if something goes wrong, and you know, something's delayed. Like Kentucky Route Zero was just announced today for release at the end of the month, and that game was announced, the consoles versions of that game was announced all the way back in 2017. So whatever went wrong, you know, they had to work on those games forever, and that happens. That's indie development. I don't think you can ever get mad at that. But yeah, Eastward, if that game comes out this year, I'm probably not even going to play it. I'm just going to stare at it. I'm just going to look at it for a prolonged period and be like, yeah, I'm into this. This game looks phenomenal. Number 5, Animal Crossing New Horizons. We live in hard times. We live in difficult times. We live in times when you really do want to just escape from the world. I think never has the world needed Animal Crossing more than it does right now. Because God, just escape to your little island, your deserted island that you'll build up from scratch, create your own society, invite Mitzi to your town and then bully it. It's the escape I need from the world at the moment. And like, I wasn't a huge Animal Crossing guy before New Leaf. I put about, I was going to say, I'm not a huge Animal Crossing guy. I just put 40 hours into New Leaf. But 40 hours compared to what a lot of people put into New Leaf is probably a relatively small amount of time. And I was just like, I just want to escape. I just want to escape to that beautiful Animal Crossing world, that wholesome world full of animals and joy, and not have to look at my Twitter feed and just see whatever the miserable thing that's dragging the world down is today. Animal Crossing, March 20th, 2020. Number 4 is actually technically the only game on this list that doesn't have a hard 2020 release date because it was delayed. Watch Dogs Legion was originally meant to release on March 6th, 2020, but has been delayed to what Ubisoft said is their 2021 fiscal year, which begins April 1st, so it could technically bleed into 2021. So if it's going to release anytime between April to April, there's 4 months that it might not release this year, but I'd imagine, looking at Ubisoft, I would imagine Watch Dogs Legion will be a launch title for next gen, but we shall see. If you remember going back to E3, Watch Dogs was my most anticipated game coming out of E3. That game looked phenomenal. Just the idea that you can play as every NPC seemed absolutely ridiculous. It seemed like impossible. It seemed something that you just could not possibly do. And if they pull it off, it's the best game of all time. And if they don't pull it off, it's going to be another train wreck. But I was really bummed when this game got delayed. And not just delayed, it's sitting in some kind of state of limbo with no date. And I don't know when I'm going to get to play Watch Dogs Legion, because I played some of Watch Dogs 1 and didn't love it, so I skipped Watch Dogs 2. And then when they showed this off at E3 last year, I'm just like, this just looks phenomenal. So yeah, it might not technically release this year, because it's fiscal 2021, which is the video game release window every video game fan wants to hear. I do think it'll be a launch title, and I do hope that it'll be as good as it seems to be. Number 3 is Doom Eternal. I was watching Awesome Games Done Quick yesterday, and there was a Doom 100% run, and I was just watching that thinking, I want more Doom. Because that first game is so good. That 2016 remake of Doom is absolutely superb, and now we're getting another one, Doom Eternal. It was meant to release last year, it was delayed till March 20th, 2020. Animal Crossing and Doom releasing on the same day. There's quite the contrast to video games, isn't it? But I just want more Doom. I just want more Doom. It's really as simple as that. I want to shoot things, I want to crush things, I want to rip and tear, destroy zombies, invade Mars, and kill things with my gun, and smash them with my chainsaw, and crush their skulls from behind, and rip their spines out and hit them with it. And all the fun things you do with Doom, and it's coming out on March 20th, and I'm very excited for that game. As I said, that game has to be nothing else other than more Doom. Like, I'd say like there'll be reviews that it's like, oh, it's just more Doom, but more Doom is exactly what I want. As I said, I was watching that speedrun yesterday. It's just like, oh, I want more of this, and we're getting it March 20th, 2020, and I'm very excited. Number 2, oh boy, Final Fantasy 7 Remake. Coming out March 3rd, 2020, part 1 of which, is coming out March 3rd, 2020. That's one of the many trepidations I have with this game. I'm so, intrigued and concerned and fascinated and terrified to see what they will do with this video game. Well, because, from the combat perspective, I think it looks fine. It looks like a fun action game that's not too, far away from, say, Final Fantasy 15. It's kind of a play on that system. And it looks like it'll be fun to play at the very least. But Final Fantasy 7 is a very specific kind of game. It's very weird, it's very kind of tonally off-kilter in a kind of fun and unique and charming way, and I'm very interested to see how that translates to a modern HD, super high budget, high scale, lots of money remake. And not only remake, it's part 1 of a remake, so that's the other concern. It's apparently this game takes you up to the end of Midgar, but they haven't entirely said that, I don't think, but everything they've shown so far is Midgar, and that's 2 or 3 hours of the game, and obviously it's not even the first quarter of the game, and it's the first half of disc 1 of the game, so it's about 1/6 of the game, I guess. I don't know. So that's being fleshed out into a full game all its own. By its very nature, it's part of a story rather than a whole story. So how they flesh that out to a full game in a satisfying way, how they flesh that out in a way that doesn't feel like, now you're waiting for part 2, I don't really know how they do. And obviously, as I said, that experience in the original game is about 4 hours. You can probably get through it quicker if you're really, really rushing. So I'm very interested to see how they translate that into a gigantic, what they said is it's a full Final Fantasy game. So you'd expect it to be minimum a 30-hour experience. So I don't know, and I'm intrigued to see how they're going to do it. Final Fantasy 7 is one of my favorite games of all time, so the idea of remaking it fascinates me. This game will be interesting to me on every level, even if it turns out to be a bit of a disaster. Final Fantasy 7 is a very political game too. It's a game about eco-terrorists. So will they reel that back in an era where, I guess, gamers don't really care about politics so long as they don't realize it's politics. They don't really know what politics means. So they'll play Final Fantasy 7, see a plot that's the planet's dying, we should be stewards of the planet and stop people from destroying the planet, and corporations are killing the planet, and we're eco-terrorists blowing up reactors, sucking the planet dry. That's what the game's about. But really, if it's just certain kinds of politics people don't like, because they don't really know what politics means. But Final Fantasy 7 Remake, we'll see. I'm fascinated. And then number 1, kind of a cheat. In fact, pretty big cheat. Next-gen consoles. Because we know we're getting the PS5 this year, we know we're getting the new Xbox this year, which I think is just called the Xbox, and then the Series X is one of the machines within the Xbox. I'm not sure about that. That's a strange naming convention. There's the ever-present rumors of a Switch Pro this year, so it's going to be a big hardware year, and with big hardware comes big software. We will have launch titles, we will have experiences that are spanning different consoles. You'd have to think every single game released this year will have a upgraded or enhanced PS5 version or Xbox Series X version. Like if you look at, say, Cyberpunk or the Avengers or Final Fantasy VII or The Last of Us, all of these games you'll assume will span the generations and have enhanced ports next year. But all of these new consoles will need new video games to launch with, and of course we know Halo is launching with the new Xbox. What else will be there? Who knows? Probably a new Forza. That's exciting. It's exciting. It's a console year. It's always exciting. So yeah, I'm taking a cop out for my number one most anticipated game of 2020. It's all the games that could potentially release with the new consoles. There you go. What are you looking forward to? Let me know in the comments below. On your left, my game of the year last year. On your right, my game of the decade. Thanks for watching.